Hello students. Now we're going to start our science and tech domain in our session 5. We start our session 5 with science and technology only. This particular time I have two sessions for science and tech. In the first session we will talk about some diseases and some aspects related to biotechnology, not too much, but disease I'll cover few of the diseases. Along with that, in the second session we'll be covering the how we cover space and some frontier technology and some initiatives, right? We'll talk about Vikram Sarabhai, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, few of the theoretical things as well. Right, let's start. So, starting with the rotavirus. So, rotavirus is basically, it causes diarrhea to the children, right? So, it has a strain, just like hepatitis had a strain like A, B, C, D, E, right? We'll discuss hepatitis in detail because in 2019, hepatitis question has been asked, and just because it has many strains, so that's why sometimes it becomes difficult to remember, right? Just like we'll be doing this month, if you have seen the videos of the defense, right, with respect to missiles. Okay, so hepatitis have five strains. Influenza has A, B, C, D. We'll read about A, B, C, D, not here. Similarly, rotavirus has the 10 species of the genus. With respect to, and one of the species is important. For example, rotavirus A is the most common one. It causes 90% of the infections in the human, right? Just like coronavirus, for example, I'm telling you about the family of virus. For example, this is written, right, in the family of the virus. What does that mean? For example, coronavirus, COVID-19. So COVID-19 is a virus in the family of corona, right? So corona is the family, and one of the member is COVID-19. One of the member is MERS. One of the members is SARS, right? In the next month, I'll discuss in detail the coronavirus because it came in January in the news, right? So in December or January, we will cover coronavirus in detail. I'll discuss MERS, I'll discuss SARS along with the COVID-19 with respect to a prelims preparation, right? Now coming back to the rotavirus, and it infects human beings along with the animals and livestock, right? That's the same thing. Okay, so rotavirus is a very killer disease in India. And why it transmits, that is what you need to know. So it transmits through fecal oral route, right? So it does not transmit like COVID-19 transmits. So that means that the sanitation is a big issue for rotavirus. Okay, sanitation is a big issue for rotavirus. So if it is taken care of, then rotavirus will not be there. In fact, it's a very common virus. You see, nearly one child in his life will be infected by it, and is a leading cause of diarrhea. So diarrhea is a situation when we have a very thin stool. So one of the reasons of diarrhea is rotavirus. So just, right, you getting a point? So diarrhea is a situation which can be caused through many things. For example, with cholera also we get the diarrhea, but rotavirus is one of the leading cause of the diarrhea, right? Cholera can lead to the diarrhea, and other disease can lead to the diarrhea as well. Okay, so it infects our damages the intestine or causes the stomach flu, right? So we are committed to finish this particular. We were committed so that the children and the people should not die from the rotavirus. So we have made a commitment that by 2022 we will be ending the mortality of the children by it. So for that, vaccines are there. Rotavirus vaccines. So one of the vaccines we'll discuss, Rotavac vaccine. It is India's first indigenously developed rotavirus vaccine. Okay, it is included in our UPI. That is not UPI and UIP, Universal Immunization Program. Okay, at three stages. So Gagandeep Kang is a lady who has played a key role in the development of the Rotavac vaccine, the vaccine that we've discussed for the rotavirus. After rotavirus, I'll discuss some very basic concept, bacteria and virus, and from there I'll discuss the concept of a bit of antibiotics and vaccines, right? Okay, so she has been given recently. She has been given the highest scientific recognition. So you can give example of her in the women in the STEM, because we have very less women in the STEM. We'll discuss one more woman today who has recently got the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize. So these are the women in STEM and they should be the role model. So you got the idea of rotavirus. So rotavirus, if a question can be asked, so question will be along these lines, right? So remember, one of the most important thing is it spreads by the fecal oral route. Sorry. Next is the very basic, we have discussed a few diseases. Let us discuss a very basic thing, the difference between bacteria and the virus. Because many of times we read so much advanced stuff, we miss out on the very small details, right? So I want to cover it up here only. So let's start difference between bacteria and the virus. Firstly, if you talk about the size. So the size of the virus is smaller than the size of the bacteria. You can see bacteria here. Okay. So it is said to be 10 times, 100 times smaller than or 10 times smaller than the bacteria. So remember, size of the bacteria is more than the size of the virus. In fact, these two are the size is one of the commonality between them as well. What is the commonality? That both are microscopic. Both cannot be seen with the naked eyes. Okay, so this is the size issue. Next, we talk about the whether they are living or non-living. Bacteria is its completely living object, living organism. It has its own cell. It has its own different thing inside it. It's a proper biological stuff, right? But we'll be discussing what is relevant to it. So bacteria is a complete living thing. What about virus? So virus does not have any biochemical reaction going inside the cell. So if you classify virus, it will be somewhere between living and non-living, because when it is in its natural state, so it is non-living. But when it goes into the host, then it uses the biochemical cycle of the host to start progressing. Then it becomes a living thing. So virus is neither living or non-living. We cannot categorize it. But for practical purposes, it's said to be non-living. What about the cell structure? I've given you a very fundamental idea. So bacteria has all the geochemical process going on. It has the cytoplasm within it. It has the plasma membrane. It's a proper cell, right? I'm not discussing the biology aspect. I'm discussing the fundamental difference between virus and bacteria. So there are biochemical DNA process going on within the bacteria. So bacteria itself is a self-sufficient organism, whereas in the virus there is RNA, DNA is there, but there is no biochemical cycle. So there is no biochemical cycle inside the virus, right? So what is virus then? Virus is just like a message in a box, in a bottle, right? So you cannot read this message unless you open the bottle. So analogically, what do you mean by opening the bottle? That means someone reads it, someone reads this message. How will it read? When the virus will infect the healthy cell. When the healthy cell reads this message, then what happens? The biochemical cycle, it uses the host cell and the biochemical process starts of the virus, right? Getting a point? So the host cell has read the message, it is infected to the virus. Now the biochemical process starts. So when the biochemical process starts, the cell becomes infected. And this is how the virus operates. Then if we talk about the general remedy to the bacteria versus virus. So bacteria has its own geochemical process going on, right? And to break this geochemical process, we have antibiotics. We have antibiotics to break this geochemical cycle. Okay. So if the antibiotic break the geochemical cycle, the bacteria will be killed and the organism will be healthy. The cell, will be healthy. Our body will be healthy. The bacteria will be killed. Antibiotics, after taking antibiotics. However, with respect to virus, what happens? Just here. With respect to virus, what happens? Virus does not have any biochemical cycle inside it. So the antiviral drugs are there, but they are not very effective. So the bacteria is killed. The antibiotics are more effective for the bacteria than the antiviral drugs are more effective for the virus. Okay, so that is first of all a basic point. Second point is that is why with respect to virus, the majority of the disease you will see, you will not find any cures. You will find vaccines for the viral disease. And if vaccines are not there, what they say, for example, what they treatment they give for COVID-19, one of the major treatment is take rest. For example, you get flu from the virus, right? So you take rest. You take rest. You give your body some breathe. So your immunity increases. When your immunity increases, it fight against the virus and the virus goes out. So one of the major treatment with respect to viral disease, if you have seen, is the rest. In fact, if you do not take any medication for the fever, it will automatically go in the few days, right? So that is the difference between very fundamental difference between bacteria and the virus. What about harmful and useful? Bacteria sometimes are useful as well, not always harmful. For example, the bacteria used to convert milk to curd. What about virus? Virus are mostly harmful because they infect the host cell. That is when they get into action only. Okay, so these are the very basic fundamental difference between bacteria and virus. Okay, now we talk about TB. So TB is caused by a bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. One of the few things with respect to TB is the multi-drug resistant TB. Multi-drug resistant TB, we'll discuss about that. We'll discuss TB in detail. Okay. So what is multi-drug resistant TB? So you start, for example, you got TB. We'll discuss TB in detail, don't worry. Now there are some, first of all, you'll get some treatment. Okay, if you get someone TB, you give these two medicine. If the patient does not respond to these medication, then he becomes a drug resistant TB, that he is not responding to this particular medication. Then he is given number 3 and number 4 heavy doses. If he is able to respond, obviously it's better antibiotic than this, then he will be cured. If he does not respond, then he becomes a XDR case, extensively drug resistance. Okay, and if it does not respond to that also, then it becomes a TDR, total drug resistance, number 5, 6. Okay, so that is there. Now we'll discuss something about the TB, tuberculosis. So tuberculosis is a basically communicable disease which spreads through air. Okay, droplets from cough and the sneeze for infection, and is spread by the bacterium. If it affects our lung, it is called pulmonary TB. If it affect other organ, it is called extra pulmonary TB. India has one of the highest burden of the TB in the world, right? We'll discuss the global tuberculosis report. India is one of the hotspots of the TB in the world. Around 27% cases of TB are in the India. Okay. Secondly, just like the COVID disease, people do not know that they are infected by the COVID before the incubation or the virus starts showing such symptoms. Similarly, many of the people are showing the pattern of the latent TB. That means they have the bacteria, but they are not clinically manifested. Okay, so there will be TB bacteria will be affecting actively sick people, but they will not know it. So it is called latent TB. Right. Next, I was talking about the global hotspots. So one of the hotspot of TB is in India. 27% of the cases of TB in India. That is why we have seen a few initiatives of TB. We'll discuss initiatives of TB here only. Now TB becomes more critical with respect in combination with the other disease. For example, India, if you see the location of the position of India, so India falls under the problem of the TB, falls under the problem facing the problem of MDR TB, that is multi-drug resistant TB. Along with that, high incidence of the HIV. So the people with the HIV virus also are at a vulnerable position with respect to the TB. Okay, so this is TB. Now, risk factor for TB, for example, what are the probabilities that you will get TB? The probabilities will increase with the people with HIV, with diabetics, smoking, alcohol, and undernourishment. Similar cases, these are also the same cases for the COVID-19 as well, isn't it? And in fact, all the cases, mortality also depends upon the comorbidity. That means the other diseases you have. Now we discuss the drug resistant TB. So first one is multi-drug resistant TB, MDR-TB. So MDR-TB, that TB does not respond to the first line drugs. What are the names? So just need to have an idea. Isoniazid and Rimafsin. Okay. So just have an idea, because question will be asked, they will give you the example of 3 to 4 medications for TB. Then they'll ask what is this. So the option will be, one of the options will be TB medications, right? Okay, next becomes an XDR TB, that is extensively drug resistance TB. So when your TB problem does not respond, the medicines, the 4 of the core anti-TB drugs, you do not respond to that. You have TB and you do not respond to the 4 frontline drugs, then you become XDR TB, right? So after MDR, you'll become, if you do not respond, you become XDR. And if you do not respond to the first or second line TB drugs, you become TDR, that is totally drug resistant TB. Okay, so that is there. Getting a point? So that is TB. Now we talk about some international initiatives with respect to TB. So first of the thing is the 3 billion program of WHO. So what does the 3 billion program of WHO says? 3 billion goals. So 3 billion goals says that with respect to 111 billion, so they have linked the TB goals to the SDG health goals. They talk about that 1 billion people should benefit from the universal health coverage. 1 billion more better protected health emergency 1 year, better enjoy health and well-being. So it's a generic goal related with the specifically not targeted TB, but overall architecture of the health architecture, within which a TB is an important part. Next, the Global Tuberculosis Report. This report is published almost every year by WHO. So WHO, you need to remember, and very logical also, WHO. One of the international declarations for the TB is the Moscow Declaration. Okay, so we will discuss like malaria for antimicrobial resistance. There is a Chennai Declaration. Right, in the international affair we discuss the Malé Declaration. So you need to remember one of the current affair declaration, and they will ask question on that only, right? Sometimes they ask question on this. In the test series you also get question on this. So Moscow Declaration, it's not a current affair first of all, that's an old declaration, you can see 2017. But actually we are discussing TB, that is why I wanted to discuss this. So because TB India is a hotspot, so TB will always be a very important topic for UPSC. Okay, so Moscow Declaration is with respect to the TB. Next is the End-TB strategy. This End-TB strategy is given by the WHO. They will not ask you what is the End-TB strategy is, because from the name itself you are getting, okay, it's finished TB something. Okay? So this strategies of WHO, and they talk about some quantifiable goals. For example, 95 reduction in the number of TB death, 90% in the TB incidence rate, and 0 of the catastrophic cost to the TB affected family. For example, one of the earning member of your family got TB. That should not impact your financial, that should not lead to financial crisis in your home, right? That is the idea. So just remember 95%, 90% and 0%. Some figures are there in the End-TB strategy of WHO. Now this is the recent one, that World Bank and the government of India have signed a 400 million agreement for the elimination of the tuberculosis. Okay? So India and World Bank have signed this particular loan agreement. Now this particular loan agreement it is part of India's strategic plan. Government has its own, we have discussed that. Government's own strategic plan to end TB by 2025. If you remember, I have mentioned it many times, TB harega, desh jeetega. Right? So to implement that particular plan for the financing need, we have signed a loan agreement with the World Bank. Okay? So what will be there? What are the basic idea behind it? So the basic idea is to incentivize the private sector. More importantly, for reporting of the cases, just like in the corona, we are seeing the reporting and the testing is really important. Then we talked about the 0% cost to the family who are suffering from TB. Then, so direct benefit transferred to their account. Okay. Then Nishay we have discussed. So it will the fund will be used to strengthen this monitoring framework. Nikshay we have discussed already. So this is India's strategic plan to finish to end TB by 2025. Right? Okay. So the strategic plan for tuberculosis elimination from 2017 to 2025, and many of the initiatives are taken with respect to that only. Within the UPI, not UPI, UIP, that is universal immunization program, the vaccines are there. For 12 life-threatening disease, one of this is tuberculosis. Again, included in the mission Indradhanush. One of the strategy for TB is DOTS. You must have heard of it, DOTS strategies. What is DOTS? Directly observed treatment. So there are basically 5-point strategy. Along with the medical support, you need other supports, right? We have discussed that economic support is itself is important. Otherwise, the patient will not take the proper care and he'll infect the other people. So you have to provide the state has to take up the responsibility and provide the effective care as well, health care. So it includes the political and administrative commitment. It includes the good quality of the diagnosis, drug supply, monitoring accountability, and apart from the directly observed treatment. Now this we have discussed, right? Revised National TB Control Program. I've just kept it for your reference. We have already discussed that in the governance section in the initiatives and the program. In fact, as we move forward, we'll discuss each and we will discuss things and we'll try to see where we have discussed the previously where we have discussed. Okay. So we have discussed revised National TB Control Program under overall umbrella of the National Health Mission. Then National Strategic Plan to End TB based upon the 4 idea of detect, treat, prevent and build. So detection means just like 5T formula for COVID-19, similarly this formula for the TB. So the same idea is there, detect, so finding all the drug sensitive cases, treat them, then prevent in the susceptible population, just like doing quarantine or doing testing of the people where the hotspots are found, something like that. Then building our own strategic capabilities, policies, institutions, something like that. Right? So we have discussed with respect to TB, the disease itself, the international initiatives and the national initiatives. So I think that is it for our TB. Many of the things we have discussed, just revise from it and this will be enough. Right. Next we talk about National Genomic Grid. So this first of all, National Genomic Grid, from the name itself, you are not getting for what purpose it is there. So it is for the cancer purpose, first of all, the most important fact for prelims. Okay. So it will study the genomic data of the cancer patient from India. So when we will study it, then based upon the data, it will see the future treatments can be done. Right. It will help in the cancer research, how the cancer grows, what are the things, for example, how your chemotherapy helps, what changes can be done in the chemotherapy. Okay. So for that purpose, National Genomic Grid is created. Okay. So it is in the line with the institute has been set up, National Cancer Tissue Biobank in the IIT Madras. So it will study the basically overall the genome of the cancer patient. That's all we need to remember. So it will collect the samples from the cancer patient, right, to influence the factor. What are the factors for influencing the cancer? For example, someone cancer is declining, so what he or she has done particularly, what type of treatment has been followed or something like that. Okay, so question, if any question will be formed, question will be on the very soft aspect, that what is National Genomic Grid is aiming for. Next, Aedes aegypti mosquito. So one of the very infamous mosquito that causes so many diseases, isn't it? So earlier it was, we'll discuss, earlier it was originated in Africa, but now found in almost many of the places, tropic, subtropic, temperate region throughout the world. It is cause of many of the disease, yellow fever, Zika, you can see chikungunya, dengue. Okay, so now the question, now some people are trying the biocontrol approach to we'll discuss Wolbachia bacteria also sometime, where they are trying to infect the bacteria within the mosquito so that it does not act as a vector itself. So the biocontrol approach for the elimination for the disease, ending the disease. So in this, what they are trying to do, they are basically genetically modified. So they are trying that to genetically modify Aedes aegypti mosquito, and they have been found that these genetically modified genes have been transferred to the normal mosquito as well. So they have made some changes in one of the mosquito, and those changes are reflected now in the other mosquito. So if they can make some reactions or change some gene, tweak some genes in one bacteria, it will mate with the other bacteria, and the overall the vector based problems, vector based disease can be reduced. Okay, so this is what the vector based disease, vector borne disease. So different bacteria, different diseases. Now UPSC has already asked questions on these diseases. Okay, for example, they have asked that the mosquito that causes the Zika virus, does it also cause, the mosquito is also vector borne disease for chikungunya and dengue? The answer was yes. So you have to differentiate between different vector borne disease. Okay, this is enough for our UPSC purposes, because these are the common diseases that we read, that we should know about, right? Apart from very specific disease that comes in current affair. Otherwise, these diseases are all these diseases are more or less in the current affair. So the Aedes aegypti causes it's a vector borne disease, means will be one source of disease. These vectors take a virus from that and they transfer to the humans. So these are the vectors. So Aedes aegypti causes chikungunya, dengue, yellow fever, Zika. Anopheles virus, not bacteria, Anopheles mosquito causes the malaria. And it does not matter. The disease can be from the bacteria, can be virus, anything. So the vector can transport the bacteria, the vectors can transport the virus. For example, malaria is spread by the protozoa, but the vector Anopheles takes up this particular virus, protozoa, right? Similarly, Culex mosquito, so it causes the Japanese encephalitis, lymphatic filariasis, that is hathi paw, right? Elephantiasis, West Nile fever. Then ticks causes we have discussed that, Kaisanor forest disease, monkey fever. Then sandfly causes the Kala Azar. So these are the vector-borne diseases, right? Then next we talk about Salmonella. So these diagrams that I am giving you, these are very, very important, right? These can be used by you very strategically for revision purposes, for making notes purposes, and overall understanding the architecture. If you understand the architecture, if you understand the basic structuring of the things, then the things will become so smooth for you. You will know where the fact, which place, where exactly what fact lies. Right? Now, coming to Salmonella. So it is a bacterial strain found in the intestine. So it is basically, if it goes into our food, it causes the salmonellosis, that is a food poisoning, when this bacteria enters our body. So this bacteria is found in the raw meat, poultry, eggs, and unpasteurized milk. That is why it is said that please wash it, please always give the pasteurized milk, right? So it forms, basically it affects from the contaminated food. Okay. So WHO identifies Salmonella as one of the 4 global causes for the diarrheal disease. So remember I told you diarrhea. So one of the things that we have discussed earlier also, rotavirus, similarly this one is there. So please do not get confused with respect to that. Okay, so that is Salmonella. Next is paraquat poisoning. So if the question can come on these lines. What is paraquat? So paraquat is basically a toxic chemical which is used as a herbicide, that is to kill the weeds, basically weeds and grass control in the agriculture. Now, many of the herbicides, as we know, they are getting to know that earlier we are using it in a constant basis. Now, many of the researchers are saying they are carcinogenic. Okay, they caused cancer, toxicity. Now, in many of the jurisdiction, it is banned also. So currently, this particular paraquat dichloride is being used for the 25 crops. However, the statutory recognition or statutory foundation provided to this particular chemical is only for the 9 crops. So for the other crops, it is not following itself the law. Okay, so it is a violation of Indian Insecticide Act. In Kerala, this herbicide has been banned. So it is said to cause this carcinogenics. Okay, it is said to the development of the Parkinson's disease in the human beings. Okay, you can see many of the cases are reported due to paraquat poisoning. Okay, so this is, so if the question comes, it affects our kidney, liver, lung problems along with the other issue. So if the question will come, question will be with respect to the what is paraquat. Okay, they'll ask you a very shallow based question. You just need to know that. Okay, nice. Next is the golden rice. So what is golden rice? You must have heard of it. So golden rice is basically a rice that is bio fortification has been done with the beta carotene, that is precursor to the vitamin A. So this eliminating the nutritional needs of the people, because rice is a staple crops in many of the countries. So if you provide nutrition along with the rice itself, it will be so good, right? It has a very few of the things that you need to remember. Food fortification, right? So food fortification is what? Basically giving the nutritional fortification in the food itself, right? In the rice, adding the vitamin A and beta carotene by science and technology. That's it. That's what we need to remember. Okay, done by the International Rice Research Institute. Where is it? Tell me in the comment box. Where is the IIRI? Where is the Indian Indian franchise of this particular institute is opened recently? Last year it was in the news. Okay. So but the problem with the golden rice, it has a very low shelf life. So after 3 months, it will lose its nutritional status. It will become like a normal rice. Okay. So this much we need to remember. This much we need to know, right? So this is the golden rice. Next is carbyle pesticides. Similar to that paraquat poisoning, similar on the similar line, carbide pesticides is used as a pesticides in the agriculture. Okay, so IIT Bombay study has found it is why it's on news. This pesticides, it has been found, the IIT Bombay has found that a bacteria, they have discovered in the research that a bacteria is able to degrade this particular pesticide. Okay, the complete remediation of the pesticides is done by the bacterial strain. Okay, so why we need the remediation? Why we need to eliminate this carbyle pesticides? Because it is a carcinogenic to the human beings. It is persistent in the nature, leading to the pollution of both soil and the water ecosystem. Okay, so this is carbyle pesticide. Now, this bacterial enzyme that is said to affect this carbelyal pesticides, you don't have to go into the scientific strain of it. For example, when this bacteria reacts with this, what the component forms, we don't have to need to get to this. However, there were earlier strains which were affecting this particular thing. Then why this particular research become important? Because it is more efficient. It is even 4 to 5 times more efficient than the earlier approaches. Okay, and it is toxic and all those carcinogenic things, all these things, they affect human being, and that is why we need the remediation of the carbyle pesticides, right? So just remember, the IIT Bombay has come up with the research that a particular bacteria can remove the carbyle pesticides in a more efficient way, and that is the overall news. Okay, so this is it for our session 1 with respect to science and tech. We have discussed the diseases, and from now on I will discuss few of the diseases itself along with the how we go with the particular session, right? So see you in the next class with respect to the second part of science and tech. Thank you.